Listen up, you lot. The American restaurant scene is a bloody battlefield, and right now, it's littered with the corpses of chains that once seemed untouchable. These aren't some dingy, greasy spoons either. We're talking big names, familiar faces, places you've probably eaten at 100 times. But times, they are a-changing. These chains from coast to coast are quietly shutting down locations, laying off staff, and bleeding money faster than a donkey on a water slide. What the bloody hell happened? How did these giants fall so hard? Over the next few minutes, we're diving headfirst into this culinary carnage to dissect exactly what went wrong. We'll expose the rotten ingredients, the stale strategies, and the boneheaded decisions that brought these chains to their knees. Subway, the place you went for a healthy alternative to a greasy burger, is now about as appealing as a week-old baguette. They're closing stores faster than you can say $5 footlong. 4,000 locations gone in 5 years. It's a bloody massacre. What happened? Did they forget how to make a decent sandwich? It's not just the taste, or lack thereof. The menu's drier than my roasting pan after a 12-hour shift. The ingredients? About as fresh as my granny's knickers. And don't even get me started on the scandals. Remember that whole yoga mat bread debacle? Unforgivable. On top of all that, the competition's gotten fierce. New sandwich shops are popping up like mushrooms after a rainstorm, each one trendier, tastier, and more appealing than the last. Subway's stuck in the mud, serving up the same tired old crap while the world moves on. Frankly, they're lucky I'm not on their case, or they'd be serving nothing but bread and water by now. Hooters! Let's be honest, the food was never the main attraction, was it? But even with its unique brand of hospitality, this chain's gone from hot to not faster than you can say chicken wing. They've lost over 150 locations in a little over a decade. That's a whole lot of empty nests. Look, I'm all for a bit of fun, but the whole scantily clad women serving greasy food shtick is about as appealing as a burnt Yorkshire pudding these days. Times have changed. People are wising up, and nobody wants to feel like they're in some outdated lads mag just to enjoy a plate of wings. And let's not forget, the wings themselves weren't exactly setting the world on fire. Average at best, and overpriced for what you got. There's a reason why you see more tumbleweeds than customers in most Hooters these days. They tried to adapt, they really did. New menu items, a desperate attempt at a more family-friendly image. But the damage was done. Hooters became a relic of a bygone era. A cautionary tale of what happens when you mistake exploitation for a business model. Red Lobster, once the king of casual seafood, is now on life support, gasping for air as the tide of consumer indifference rises around them. They lost a bloody fortune last quarter, more money than I've spent on wine in a decade, and that's saying something. The problem? They're serving up yesterday's news at tomorrow's prices. Inflation's hit their core ingredients like a tidal wave, and instead of adapting, they're passing the cost onto the customer. Who the hell wants to pay 20 quid for a plate of shrimp that tastes like it came out of a freezer bag? Their customer base, the ones who remember when Red Lobster was the place to celebrate a birthday or anniversary, are dropping like flies. The younger generation wouldn't be caught dead in one of their restaurants unless it was for a dare. Listen, I'm not saying all seafood restaurants are doomed, but Red Lobster needs a bloody miracle, a complete overhaul, a culinary defibrillator to shock them back to life. Otherwise, they'll be sleeping with the fishes, and not the kind you'd want to eat. Chapter 4. Applebee's from neighborhood favorite to neighborhood ghost. Applebee's, the place that promised eatin' good in the neighborhood, is finding out that the neighborhood's moved on. They closed down over 46 locations last year alone. That's a whole lot of empty booths and unused discount coupons. What went wrong? They're stuck in a culinary no-man's land. Their food's not bad enough to be truly offensive, but it's nowhere near good enough to justify the price tag. It's like the beige wallpaper of the restaurant world. Inoffensive, but utterly forgettable. And as prices for everything from chicken wings to mozzarella sticks go through the roof, folks are realizing they can get a better meal for less money somewhere else. Applebee's, you're stuck in a time warp. Your menu's as tired as a dish pig after a double shift, and your decor screams midlife crisis. You need to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize the world's moved on to tastier, more exciting things. Chapter 5. Salt Bae, the price of excess. Salt Bae, the man who became a meme by sprinkling salt down his arm, is finding out that fame is fleeting, especially when you're charging a king's ransom for a piece of meat. His American restaurants are hemorrhaging money faster than a butcher on a Friday night. Look, I appreciate theatrics as much as the next chef, but when you're charging hundreds of dollars for a steak, it had better be the best damn steak anyone's ever tasted. And from what I've heard, Salt Bae's offerings are more about the showmanship than the substance. People are tired of the hype, the exorbitant prices, the feeling that they're being fleeced for a taste of Instagram fame. They're realizing that real culinary artistry doesn't need a flamboyant showman. It speaks for itself on the plate. Salt Bae, you're a talented butcher, I'll give you that. But a restaurant needs more than just a gimmick to survive. It needs soul, it needs passion, and most importantly, it needs to offer good value for money. Chapter 6. The Cheesecake Factory, a menu bigger than your appetite. The Cheesecake Factory, the place where the menu is thicker than a dictionary, is finding out that sometimes less is more. Their massive menu, once a source of pride, is now a symbol of their struggle to stay relevant in a world obsessed with specialization. Look, I get it. Variety is the spice of life. But when you're offering everything from sushi to pasta to tacos, something's gotta give. Quality suffers, consistency goes out the window, and the customer's left feeling overwhelmed and underwhelmed all at the same time. And let's be honest, the cheesecake, while still decent, isn't the showstopper it once was. With artisanal bakeries popping up on every corner offering innovative flavors and Instagram-worthy presentations, the Cheesecake Factory is starting to feel a bit, well, factory-made. They need to trim the fat, so to speak, focus on what they do well, streamline the menu, and rediscover the passion that made them a household name. Otherwise, they risk becoming just another casualty in the ever-changing restaurant landscape. Chapter 7. Buffalo Wild Wings, Lost in the Sauce. Buffalo Wild Wings, the place where you went to watch the game and drown your sorrows in chicken wings and beer, is finding that the crowds are thinning and the sauces are losing their flavor. Their revenues plummeted and their once loyal customers are finding new nests to flock to. The problem? They haven't kept up with the times. The world's gone health conscious, and while wings will always hold a special place in our hearts and stomachs, people are looking for lighter, fresher options. Their attempts to adapt have felt more like a desperate plea for attention than a genuine evolution. Adding a few salads and veggie burgers to a menu dominated by fried food isn't going to cut it. Buffalo Wild Wings, you need to go back to the drawing board. Rethink your menu, revamp your image, and remember that sometimes you need to evolve to survive. Otherwise, you'll become just another cautionary tale, a forgotten relic of a time when wings were king. Chapter 8. Taco Bell, Running Out of Border Crossings. Taco Bell, the bellwether of the fast food industry, is facing a sobering reality. American tastes are evolving, and their attempts to keep up are falling flat. Growth has stalled, and the future looks as uncertain as a late-night drive-thru order. Look, I'll admit, I have a soft spot for a cheeky Crunchwrap Supreme now and then, but even I can see that their menu is starting to feel as tired as a donkey after a fiesta. The endless variations on the same basic ingredients, the reliance on gimmicky promotions, it's all starting to wear thin. They've tried to innovate, they really have. Doritos Locos Tacos were a stroke of genius, I'll give them that, but for every success, there's a string of forgettable flops. The naked chicken chalupa? Let's just say it was as appealing as a naked mole rat. Taco Bell, you need to rediscover your edge. Embrace bold flavors, fresh ingredients, and stop being afraid to challenge the palates of your customers. Chapter 9. IHOP pancakes ain't what they used to be. IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, is facing a breakfast crisis. Their signature dish, the humble pancake, is losing its appeal faster than a soufflé in a drafty kitchen. Consumption's down, profits are dwindling, and the future looks as bleak as a burnt piece of toast. Let's face it, pancakes are the culinary equivalent of sweatpants. Comforting, familiar, but not exactly something you'd wear to impress. And in a world obsessed with avocado toast and acai bowls, pancakes just aren't cutting it anymore. IHOP's attempts to modernize have been as successful as a heart surgeon operating with a spork. Their creations are often Frankensteinian monstrosities of sugar, syrup, and artificial flavors. IHOP, you need to wake up and smell the coffee, literally. Embrace fresh, seasonal ingredients, ditch the artificial syrups, and for God's sake, invest in a decent coffee machine. Chapter 10. TGI Fridays, thank God it's over. TGI Fridays, the chain that promised to make every day feel like a celebration, is finding out that the party's over. Revenue's down, locations are closing, and the only thing they're celebrating these days is the fact that they haven't gone bankrupt yet. The problem? They're stuck in a time warp, serving up the same tired old dishes that were popular when shoulder pads and leg warmers were all the rage. Their menu is a testament to culinary stagnation, a graveyard of forgotten appetizers and oversauced entrees. They've tried to adapt, they really have. They've added trendy cocktails, pretentious-sounding appetizers, and even attempted to jump on the fast casual bandwagon, but it's all too little, too late. TGI Fridays, you're like that guest who overstays their welcome at a party, the one everyone's secretly hoping will just leave already. It's time to face the music, pack up your deep fryer, and accept that the party's over. Chapter 11. Ruby Tuesday, a gem no more. Ruby Tuesday, once a shining star in the casual dining constellation, is now fading faster than a cheap dye job. Locations are closing, menus are shrinking, and the only thing they're serving up consistently these days is disappointment. What went wrong? They fell victim to the same disease that's plaguing so many chain restaurants, a lack of identity. Their menu became a hodgepodge of uninspired dishes, their decor as bland and forgettable as a glass of lukewarm water. They tried to reinvent themselves, of course. They remodeled, they revamped their menu. They even tried to woo millennials with trendy cocktails and shareable plates. But it was all too little, too late. They'd lost their way, and more importantly, they'd lost the trust of their customers. Ruby Tuesday, you've become a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the brightest stars can fade if they don't evolve with the times. Chapter 12. Friendly's more like frenemies with the customers. Friendly's, the chain that built its reputation on ice cream sundaes and family-friendly fare, is finding out that friendship, like ice cream, can melt away pretty quickly if you're not careful. Customer traffic has slowed to a trickle, and those iconic red booths are looking awfully empty these days. What happened? They became victims of their own success. They rested on their laurels, content to serve up the same old dishes, year after year, decade after decade. They failed to innovate, to adapt to changing tastes, to realize that the kids who once begged their parents for a fribble had grown up and developed more sophisticated palates. They tried to modernize, of course. They introduced new menu items, remodeled their restaurants, even attempted to tap into the nostalgia market with retro-themed promotions. But it was all too little, too late. Friendlies, you've become a relic of a bygone era, a reminder that even the strongest bonds can be broken by neglect and indifference. Steak and Shake, the once proud purveyor of thin patties and hand-dipped milkshakes, is now clinging to life by its fingernails, desperately trying to avoid a fate worse than a burnt burger. Locations are shuttering faster than you can say double steak burger with cheese, and the only thing shaking these days is the confidence of their investors. What went wrong? They got stuck in a time warp, clinging to a business model that's as outdated as a rotary phone. Their insistence on low prices, while admirable, ultimately backfired, as rising food costs and shrinking margins left them with no room to maneuver. They tried to modernize, of course. They introduced new menu items, experimented with different pricing strategies, even attempted to streamline their operations. But it was all too little, too late. Steak and Shake, you're a cautionary tale about the dangers of clinging to the past. Sometimes you need to adapt or die, and in the cutthroat world of fast food, there's no room for sentimentality. Boston Market, the chain that built its reputation on rotisserie chicken and home-style sides, is finding out that nostalgia only gets you so far in the dog-eat-dog world of fast casual dining. Their once crowded dining rooms are now echoing with the sound of crickets, and the only thing they're serving up consistently these days is disappointment. What happened? They failed to keep up with the times. As diners became more health-conscious and adventurous, Boston Market's menu, with its heavy reliance on butter, salt, and gravy, started to feel as dated as a pair of acid-washed jeans. They tried to adapt, of course. They introduced lighter menu options, experimented with different flavors, even attempted to woo millennials with trendy bowls and wraps. But it was all too little, too late. They'd become typecast, and no amount of rebranding could shake the image of them as a relic of a bygone era. Boston Market, you're a reminder that even the most comforting of foods can lose their appeal if they don't evolve with the times. Sparrow, the once ubiquitous pizza chain that fueled countless mall shopping sprees, is now finding itself on the wrong side of the food court. Locations are disappearing faster than slices of pepperoni pizza during a lunchtime rush, and the only thing they're tossing these days is their chances of survival. What happened? They fell victim to the same forces that are reshaping the entire retail landscape, the rise of online shopping and the decline of the American mall. As foot traffic dwindled, so did Sparrow's customer base, and their once reliable revenue streams dried up faster than a puddle of spilled soda. They tried to adapt, of course. They experimented with new menu items, attempted to spruce up their image, even ventured outside of malls and into non-traditional locations, but it was all too little. Too late. They'd become synonymous with a dying breed of retail, and no amount of rebranding could shake that association. Sparrow, you're a reminder that even the most iconic of brands can fall victim to changing consumer habits and the unforgiving realities of the marketplace. So there you have it, folks. A culinary bloodbath, a restaurant apocalypse, a buffet of bad decisions and missed opportunities. The question is, can these chains, from the salt-sprinkling showmen to the pancake peddlers, pull themselves out of this nosedive, or are they destined to become nothing more than faded memories in the minds of diners? One thing's for bloody sure, the restaurant industry is a fickle beast. It's a constantly evolving ecosystem where only the strong survive. Those who fail to adapt, to innovate, to give the customers what they want, will inevitably get left behind. Their tables gathering dust, their menus fading like a bad tattoo. So what do you think? Will these chains rise from the ashes, or are they destined for the culinary graveyard? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, the information in this video is just a snapshot in time. The restaurant industry is constantly changing, so stay informed, stay hungry, and most importantly, stay tuned. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next culinary takedown. Until next time.